Bo, Path of the Teal Lotus is a new title that hit the Metroidvania scene on July 17th of this year. It focuses on platforming and combat challenges centered around beautifully hand-drawn animations in a world inspired by Japanese folklore. Bo has captured my heart as one of the most satisfying platforming games I've played in a while, but does it live up to other big games that have carried the genre thus far? Our protagonist is a creature born from the bud of a flower known as a tentahana. Tentahana are celestial beings that bloom in light of tragic events. Such kicks off our story when a local village is devastated by an unknown force. We follow Bo on their journey through Strange Garden, making friends with peculiar inhabitants and solving the mysteries behind the monsters that plague this land. Bo is tasked with helping their new friends in times of need in order to discover themselves and the truth behind a prophecy that is whispered amongst the people. Bo is a playful, heartwarming story surrounded by wonderful characters and gorgeous landscapes, all inspired by Japanese myths. Bo starts off right away meeting an abrasive and rude kitsune who tasks Bo with retrieving resources to strengthen their signature weapon, the Equinox Staff. This serves as our primary weapon through the rest of the game. The game uses quests through quirky characters like our kitsune to drive the story forward and give Bo a purpose. I found that the use of side characters in this way was a refreshing take on the born to fulfill a prophecy trope. With Bo being a silent protagonist, I felt more immersed in the story when fulfilling requests that led to the end goal as opposed to embarking on an epic quest for no other reason than it being the right thing to do. By the time I'd made friends and acquired new tools and abilities, there was more motivation to help Strange Garden stop the terrible beast, Gashadokuro, from destroying the land and hurting my friends. The story itself is lovely in the way that it's presented throughout the game, but it's not without its flaws. Some of the more prominent side characters were less present in the middle and end of the game, which left my connection with them and the world deteriorating a bit. While some of the side characters felt more forgettable than others, the world they resided in did not. Strange Garden is a cohesive mixing pot for all these creatures inspired by different Japanese myths. There wasn't a time where I found a character that didn't belong in the world, and tying all of that together was our little tentahana, Bo. Bo doesn't shy away from giving you what you need to keep progressing. Tools and abilities are thrown at you rather quickly, and the game does a great job adapting the environment to make it an easy transition into these new powers. Most of the areas provided everything you needed to get through it, and the exploration didn't feel tedious when needing to backtrack later. Secrets were always accessible, while areas that required me to return to them gave some form of story progression. This was the most satisfying thing about the side quests sprinkled throughout the game. They were cute and fun ways to provide interactive storytelling. Most of the side quests I finished by naturally progressing through the game, which provided a sense of accomplishment. Some of the more involved side quests required a bit more attention, but their impact as a player was to reward you with an upgrade and additional story that wasn't required to reach the end of the game. It felt satisfying enough that I wasn't disappointed with the time it took to complete. What made this a little bit easier was the fast travel you unlock after opening up the map. You're provided with a simple side quest that's completed in the game's main hub. It felt great to have that when traversing new areas and needing to return to home base for upgrades. Some of the fast travel points were a bit out of the way. I think a couple of them could have had better locations. While most of the game provides a non-linear experience, you start with a simple, story-inclusive tutorial that gives you an idea of how the game works. Within the first few minutes, it's entirely linear before opening up 2 areas that allow you to get a feel for the basics. I didn't feel trapped in the motions of learning the game because there was plenty to explore. After obtaining a core ability, I was taken through a platforming challenge followed by a boss. It gave me a better idea of what I was in for when it came to the platforming aspect of the game, though the boss of this section felt a bit more tedious and challenging. With the exception of this boss, even the starting game bosses were beautifully executed, and all bosses provided a different challenge that incorporated platforming elements designed to the level. They were all unique, and their difficulty was well balanced for casual players looking to put their skills to the test, while still leaving room for failure. Save points were always close by, so I could get right back to it if I died without the concern for retrieving precious resources lost on death. All the bosses had multiple phases that increased the difficulty, but not so much that it felt like there was a gap in the skill or practice needed to beat them. It was exciting to get more unique phases in a boss. It certainly kept me on my toes. In terms of replayability, the game doesn't provide a way to experience it vastly different every time. What I think could provide more replayability value in the future is its platforming. I recently listened to a podcast where the developer mentioned DLC, and if they were to follow through on that, I'd love to see a focus on this aspect. Not that we need new platforming segments, but even if there was a mode in the game that allowed you to replay these sections at varying difficulty, that would really help in the game's longevity. It would be fun to have the bosses receive additional difficulty levels as well, with more platforming. This way, players can experiment with their abilities and equipped items to get a new experience every time they open the game. The developer interview was on Corey Miller's Cherry Time podcast. I'll link the video in the description if anyone is interested in checking it out. Overall, Bow, Path of the Teal Lotus is a great game that I recommend to anyone who enjoys Metroidvanias with a focus on platforming. I'm excited to see what the developer has in store for us in the future, whether that be through DLC or a brand new game. I think the genre has been impacted a lot by games like Ori and Hollow Knight, which helped revive it. Without them, I don't think we would have games today like Nine Souls and Bow. While Hollow Knight has been the gold standard thus far, I'm excited to see it pass on the torch. Even with some gaps in storytelling, the gameplay was nearly flawless in execution, and to give this game anything less than an 8 out of 10 would be criminal. I think Hollow Knight and Bow are great Metroidvanias in their own respect, with little comparison to make other than the silent tiny protagonists. I think Bow is a better game for standing on its own. It felt like it pushed the limits of the genre that were set by Hollow Knight. As more and more Metroidvanias are brought to life, I hope to see new innovative concepts that continue to push those limits. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment your thoughts on Bow down below, and if you're interested in playing the game for yourself, I've linked it in the description. If it's not your style, but you're still curious, I've also linked the playlist for my complete playthrough as well. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts. Like and subscribe if you did and want to see more videos like this in the future. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.